Hey guys, welcome to another double A entertainment show. I got here a special guest, J.K. Bogan, from Downtown Rams. He does a lot of podcasting, a lot of YouTube stuff. I definitely recommend checking him out on his Twitter. Uh, we're here about to talk about episode 6 of Wandavision. This will be a spoiler-filled conversation. So if you haven't watched it, just stop this, pause it, go watch the episode, come back. It's only 35 minutes, I believe. Very good episode. Jake, I'll go ahead and let you start out. Basically, this episode has Wanda and I would say Vision doing an ode to the 90s, a lot of hints, not flashbacks, but like styles of the 90s. How did you like the episode, and what are your general feelings starting out?
Yeah, so one I thought was cool. They kind of paid homage to the 90s, those sitcoms, those family sitcoms that you would see. One of which I believe Malcolm in the Middle, I would probably say one of those was based on. That was just my first thought. Um Thought it was really cool how, they kind of played around with, what we know or what we don't know. And when I looked at, when it said Pietro starring as himself, it was like kind of like throwing like a middle finger to the audience. Like, we're not telling you anything yet. So I enjoyed the opening a lot. Felt like we learned, but we didn't learn anything at the same time. It was really a misdirect episode, but it was a direct episode. It's very weird, very trippy, which has pretty much been the only thing that I can really call this series is trippy. Anytime anybody asks me how I felt, I always say tripped out, because it's like this was probably the first episode where I was like genuinely horrified. When he gets to that part of town, Vision does, and it's like everyone is just stuck, and it's like that just like it's like it's like one of those online, like the person disconnected from the server, and they're still there, and they're just like frozen. And it was like one of those moments. So I thought that was a little weird. But yeah, I thought it was cool the way they pointed out there were two things. Cane soda, which was an Easter egg. It's about, I forget exactly what it was. I just watched it, but apparently there's an Easter egg here regarding one of the teammates or members of Cable's crew. So I think this was an episode that kind of pushed X-Men. We've already seen it in a sense with Wanda, how she turned all the guns onto the sword guy that I can't stand him, but I don't know his name. I forget his name, but she turns all the guns to him in homage to, well, her father, Magneto. He did that in X-Men. So I thought that was interesting. And then, with the cane soda, I thought that was interesting, but you probably wouldn't have noticed that. I didn't notice it at first. Saw it on, I believe it was New Rockstars video that just came out with Eric Voss. So I saw that. And then I noticed, like, why is Vision doing this? Like, you ever do this? Like, when you're pointing, like, to multiple things and you cross your, see what I'm making? This is an X. So I felt like there were a lot of those times where I was like, throughout this whole show, it's been trying to push the X-Men into this universe. And the way I've taken it is, at the end of the day, I think Wanda is making it so while you had those close shaves, or rather not so close shaves, in Lagos, with the, necessary, you could say, or at least innocent blood was spilled. I think people are starting to go from, you see, like, obviously it's a different reality, but you see with the Hulk how kids wanted his autograph and pictures with him. I think we're starting to go more towards the X-Men story arc where superheroes are considered bad. And I feel like Wanda is going to push everyone over the edge, where, you already saw it with Spider-Man. Spider-Man 3 is coming out. Spider-Man 3 is, it sounds to me, or at least based on the ending, is that it looks like it's going to be, if you guys have ever seen John Wick, 3 when he's just running. That's how it starts off. Everyone's after him because he got excommunicado. Um, it seems to me like it's going to be like that with Spider-Man, but Spider-Man may have already foreshadowed what the rest of the MCU is going to be facing. And that's really what I find the most interesting is that, X-Men, it's always like they're trying to do good, but then, things get out of hand and then the government turns on them. And so then the government doesn't want there to be mutants. Well, I think in this case, Wanda's pushing that. I think that and I don't remember the guy's name again, but the guy, the leader of Sword, I think he's pushing for that regardless. He's pretty much the striker of this TV show. I wouldn't be surprised if, they tried doing the whole adamantium thing. And, it's like, I really wouldn't at this point. I've heard rumors that the X-Men exist in this timeline and they don't have to be like created, like they're all in there and just we haven't seen them. Same thing with Deadpool. I don't know what to believe at this point. I think anything can happen. The Quicksilver thing to me is a total, like I have no idea because it's Evan Peters who played Quicksilver in the in the X-Men films. And it's not the guy that played Pietro, who was in Age of Ultron, who was killed. But it's not Quicksilver from X-Men based on his personality. He's more of a I don't know what to I mean, he's kind of like brash, and it's like I don't know, that never was really him. And so I feel like that's kind of the weird thing there. But did you guys catch that Easter egg when he said kick ass?
Yeah, I caught that
Thought
because
that
the
was
actor,
cool.
same actor. We'll get into the specifics of the episode a little bit later. Andy, what were your general response to this episode? What spoke to you? To me, I will say real quickly, it was very Twilight Zone-ish. It was dropping Easter eggs and like little moments of like fear, and they want you to just focus on nothing happening.
Yeah.
It kind of freaks you out because your subconscious, you're like, they're supposed to be moving, they're supposed to be doing something, and it's kind of freaking you out the way they're not doing anything.
When the
Oh yeah,
tears coming
definitely.
down the eyes, you know.
Yeah, that was one of the best scenes I saw. I mean, you watch that and you see it slowly pan over to her and just slow tear. It's just this whole episode is like that. You just go through kind of like with Vision showing this town just being completely not real, kind of the uncanny valley aspect of it. But the Halloween setting works perfectly because it's got the more creepy vibes to it. It's a great episode. We're starting to learn more, and then I love this scene when you got Vision trying to come out of Wanda's hex, and you just see him literally just falling apart, and then her just freaking out and expanding and taking over more and more. So it's just a great episode. And you're seeing Wanda become more and more dangerous as this series goes on.
Yeah, I'll say for me at least, it's very interesting because I feel like this whole TV show so far has been building up and leading things that when you look back after watching the whole series, you'll be like, oh, that's what that meant. That's like, to me, I thought Agnes was completely, I would like to see your guys' opinion. I thought she was acting in front of Vision. I thought she was completely BSing him the whole time when he touches, like, I don't know if he would know that or not when he touches her head.
I don't think
But
he would.
yeah,
If she's Agatha Harkness, then I don't think that he would know that.
yeah, and I think that's who she is, and I think she's completely faking it. And she was heading out of the town. She was getting out of Dodge, or at least trying to drive. Like either she was trying to escape, or I believe she was luring Vision out to kill him.
I think she was luring Vision in a sense. It's so weird. This is unlike anything we've really ever seen before because while it has, notes here and there of a Twilight Zone and a Black Mirror, which pretty much is the same thing in a sense, it's just not those. We haven't seen anything like what we're seeing right now. No one has attempted this. This is really the first time that I've ever seen anything like this. And I mean, to be honest, like down to the commercials, man, like how messed up was that commercial with I forget what it's called, Yo something. Um, that was so messed up, and you probably saw the deeper meaning behind that. That was Wanda, the enemy, whoever it is giving her the power to do something. So, hey, here, munch on this. But it's the enemy giving you the false information and you continuing trying to pry through it, and you can't. So, because of that, it's almost like you have all this power. You're like, oh, I have it right here, but I can't open it. And I feel like that's Wanda in a sense, where her mind is like, I'm not satisfied. I'm lonely. I want my perfect world. And now that she kind of is developing that, she can't really control it. And it hasn't really helped her because now she's even more stressed than she ever was before. But I guess the biggest thing for me is I want to know, was Vision dying because he came out of the hex and he can't exist in the real world? Or was Vision dying because of the gravitational pull of the hex? And keep in mind, people would say, well, what about Monica Rambeau? She was blasted. Like, she went flying. So that's how she moved. Like, she got out of that. I feel like only Wanda can move through the hex because she does whatever she does with her power. She probably opens it up. And he's like trying to go through a wall that's not opening up. Like, he's literally trying to break through it. And so I think it's an interesting dynamic there because I don't think we truly know. I think there's people that believe that, Vision dies as soon as he gets out of the hex, and that's why it's going to continue to stay this way. But I also don't feel like that's entirely the case because I feel like it's the way he tried to get out of the hex where he wasn't able to break free, where if he got shot through like Monica, I think he would have been fine. But I don't think we know because I think they played that scene so well. He was not truly out of the hex. And he's, and you watch, and there's all sorts of like, debris coming off him. It's flying back in the hex. So it could be one thing, it could be another, it could be both. I think that's the really interesting thing there.
Well,
And if without Wiccan, by the way, he dies.
Well, definitely, I think people need to not forget this. Uh, Stuff changes when it goes through there, and the matter changes. So initially, when I knew somewhat of the House of M storyline, I thought in the dome she was creating her own reality, but it wasn't changing matter. It just changed its appearance. That's what I first thought. But they were like, no, it actually changes the matter because the bulletproof vest becomes what, the 70s outfit, right? So it'll be interesting because at first I thought Pietro, she summoned him, but from a different multiverse. And I guess we can get into what we think Quicksilver is. Andy, is this the actual Quicksilver from Fox Universe and he just has a different mindset? Because he has the same memories as the old Pietro, or could he have had his memories supplanted by, let's say, Agatha? Like that's a possibility too, that he got plopped in from the Fox universe and now he has memories of a different person. And that's why he changes into what, the bullet filled Quicksilver, even though it's a different actor. So what's your opinion on that?
I think that's why the show is just so greatly written, is because it could be both ways and still the evidence is so plausibly there. I mean, you look at him, he's saying stuff like, my memories are hazy. Like it's he's got like pieces of it, but not the full picture. So, I think it could be the Fox universe, but it honestly, with the way they're writing it, it could be either one, and that's why it's so greatly, the show's so greatly ran right now.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because I almost wonder if they got fused. Like I honestly wonder that. But also, are we giving Disney too much credit to be able to fully take the Fox version of him and fully replicate it? I think that also could be in play here, where they just aren't replicating it. It's not the same writers, you know what I mean? And so I feel like that is also a possibility, is where Evan Peters' Quicksilver was just different in the Fox universe, and they're not replicating it the way it was done in the Fox universe. They're just changing his character to how they want it to be. I think that's a possibility. But one thing I will say is that I haven't gotten over the whole Sparky thing. I think that was very that was a critical point in the show, and I think they tried to bury it real quick. You know what I mean? I mean, she tried to bury it real quick. And I think she just got caught red-handed. So I think she killed the dog, to be honest with you. I think she killed Sparky.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
I think Sparky got into something that would have exposed what she was doing, and I think she killed the dog. And it's funny, every time I look at her, I think of the political manager from, if you guys have ever seen Parks and Rec. She's she's the political manager there, and it's kind of the same character, man. She plays two sides of the coin, you know. She has what's his face's back, and then she doesn't have his back, and she turns on the person that she's representing, and moves over to her whoever their rival is. So it's like, I think her name is Jennifer in that. But anyway, I think it's really funny because it's almost the same thing with this. And it's like, she on one hand has Wanda's back, but then as soon as this happens, as soon as she gets Vision alone, she's able to tell him. But I think it's really weird though, with that one episode where like Vision starts asking questions to her and Herb, and like she stops him from saying something, and then it's like, you don't really like, why did she do that? She had him alone. So I mean, I don't understand why then she did it. So I don't know. It's all really weird to me. And I think what's really cool about this whole thing is the way it connects to Captain Marvel. It's the way it connects to Age of Ultron, which I almost wonder if Ultron's going to come back. I know it sounds weird to say, but here's one thing that I noticed, and it has nothing to do with this show, but it has to do with Disney Plus. Why is it every single time I finish the episode, they always suggest Age of Ultron? You finish the episode, it will go right into Age of Ultron if you don't stop it. Why is that the case? So they're not, like, I've heard talks about them bringing back Thanos. To me, I think they're going to bring back Thanos in Eternals, which isn't really bringing him back. It's a prequel to everything that happened. I don't think they're going to bring him back, but you could see, like a bunch of villains in this multiverse setting up Ultron to come back. Doctor Doom could be, in play here, because I mean, I thought this was a cool, take to make, but I mean, I thought Reed Richards was 100% like, that's the guy that they're bringing in. And now I feel like I'm not, like, I don't have a cool take. Like, everyone now is saying that, like, it's Reed Richards. And like, I feel stupid because I said that to my buddy, and he's just like, no, that's not the case. And now everybody's talking about on Twitter that it's Reed Richards. Everyone's saying that, John Krasinski's going to come in. And my God, if he comes in, think about the star power of this cast. And then you add John Krasinski to it. I mean, and plus, this is going to go on long enough for 9 episodes. So we have 3 more. This is going to go on long enough to the point where you're going to see Doctor Strange. So there's another, A1 actor, Benedict Cumberbatch. And I don't think it ends there, because I don't think Reed Richards, to be honest with you, as much as I like him, he is not the thing that they're teasing. He is not the cameo, like the Mandalorian level cameo. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen the ending. But I don't feel like he is, right? Like, would you think Reed Richards would be enough? I don't think that's enough pull, personally. If you were trying to match the person that came at the end of Mandalorian, there's only a few names that I would even put on that same pedestal as how iconic of an ending Mandalorian was for season 2. And I'm thinking, for guys that would come back, well, one, I don't know how likely it is, but Iron Man, that would be kind of the equivalent in a sense. If you really think about it, Tony Stark, that would make sense from another alternate universe. It can't be Loki. It can't be anybody that's going to be in the TV series moving forward. I don't think that they would do that. Would you call Captain Marvel? I mean, I don't think it's any of the Avengers, because I think that's implied that eventually they're going to be part of it. I think it's somebody we haven't seen. So my guess, if they go with Reed Richards, I'd be a little disappointed, to be honest with you, if that's actually their marquee cameo. Because I think when you talk about that, there's only a few names that would even equal the Mandalorian ending, and I'd say Tony Stark. I'd say Thanos. Thanos would be a pretty huge one. I would say, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'd say Wolverine. A very polarizing. Yeah, I mean, they're teasing X-Men, Deadpool. Maybe it's Deadpool, but I feel like that's almost too obvious because we've known that Deadpool has been, in the cards for a while.
Well,
So
don't forget that in the show so far, they have said specifically that this person is what, an astrophysicist. But they could have a other cameo at the very end of the show because this does.
That's what I'm saying.
feed
I mean, the last
into
cameo.
yeah, the very last
Yeah.
cameo. So let's separate those two. I always thought it might be a villain like the Silver Surfer, and that's how you introduced the Fantastic Four.
Ooh,
Silver
they gotta
Surfer.
make Silver Surfer good though. He was huge for the Infinity War.
Well, but I mean, I think they're going towards Secret Wars. If you're asking me, because that kind of fits into the whole superheroes are bad because they're doing bad things, but secretly it's the Super Scrolls. For anyone who doesn't understand, Secret Wars is about scrolls that can shapeshift into superheroes and pretend.
And they teased that.
Yeah, and they have teased that somewhat with Captain Marvel. And
Yeah.
for you, who would you like to see as that cameo? And necessarily with this episode itself, what is one little hint? What's the biggest hint to you about where the direction of this TV series is going?
I mean, I'll be honest. Oh, were you asking me or were you asking it? I don't. Okay, sorry, Andy.
If I had to go one cameo, man, I would love to see Deadpool in this series as the end one, right? Because he is a huge fan favorite, obviously, for every single person. But putting him in the main story MCU would just cause everyone to flip out, and and then I would just love that cameo, honestly.
Isn't he too meta though? Would you think he's too meta for the MCU, or does that kind of fit in a little bit?
I feel like the direction they're going nowadays, it kind of fits in, honestly.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into ratings. You can kind of explain why. Jake, what's your rating out of 10? And in total, what works in this episode and what doesn't?
I'd say an 8.5 out of 10. I think what works is that it plays with your mind, which it's been the theme of this. Okay. It incorporates pretty much all of the cast that we've seen, but it points out their major flaws of the TV show. The fact that the kids just suddenly show up and make fun of that. Just all sorts of things like that. It points out that, people all of a sudden stop moving. It's like, I also really like that Monica Rambeau, this movement, I mean, I don't feel like people realize, like, we're getting an origin story of Monica Rambeau, and I don't know what her name's going to be. She was under 3 different names in the comics: Photon, Spectrum, and the other one that I always forget. And I think she'll probably be Photon, but I could be wrong. I think that's a really cool dynamic, especially because we saw her as a child in Captain Marvel. Another cool dynamic that they've also mentioned throughout this is, like, they've kind of teased that they're not on good terms, or she's not on good terms with Captain Marvel. So that's an interesting thing there. So I think it's combining a bunch of storylines, to be honest with you. And the thing that's more important here is that, we always suspected that the Sword Agent was, like, bad. But he really turned and showed his true colors, showing that they had a beacon after Vision, and that it was all about Vision. I think personally they want to kill Vision. They want to they want to strip him for parts again, and want to put together Sentinels. I think they want to build Sentinels. And I think they ultimately want to rid the world of the MCU. I think they want to kill all of the Avengers. I think they want to kill all the miracles. They're X-Men, mutants, but any like I don't know if they're still calling them miracles. I hope they kind of move that to mutants, but they want to kill anything that they feel isn't human. And I feel like people have been through so much trauma with the snap that I think people are just going to kind of be like, all right, but you have Monica Rambeau who every time they talk with her, it's always like, I want to help Wanda out. Like Wanda just blasted you out of the hex. And this girl out here is like, I want to help her. I know she's in pain. I want to help her. I don't want to kill her. And this guy over here is like, yeah, we know that she can change the molecular level of any sort of object. But yeah, let's try and nuke her home. Like, so I think that with this episode, there was so much going on, and you're learning that even though Sword came out looking somewhat good, just because they had a Jimmy Woo here, just because they had a Monica Rambeau, doesn't mean that they're good. It doesn't mean that they're good at all. And I never had a good feeling about them. And just because Wanda is quote unquote terrorizing these people doesn't mean that she's purposely trying to do it. I don't even think she realizes it. And I think really the problem is she's essentially Jean Grey now in the MCU. She has gotten to the point where she can't control what she's doing. And when she snaps, she has a chance to kill anybody and everybody in her way. And so, the last episode, she became the strongest person in the MCU, in my opinion. I think she could even take on Captain Marvel, as crazy as that sounds. I really do. So that is what I would say about it. To end it with the glowing eyes at the end was just totally not cool. I hated that so much because I needed to see more. And man, one thing I'll say is that the episodes need to be longer. I'll say that. I think that like when you film it cinematically like that, it's not a sitcom. I get what you're going with, all right, but it's not a true sitcom now that you've gone cinematic with it. So like, and we saw that. That's the thing is like, at any point, did it look like a 90s sitcom when they're out like trick-or-treating and all that? Looked pretty cinematic modern day to me. So if we're at that point, maybe all of a sudden in episode 7, because I think the 30-minute thing was entirely for the theme. If we're now in the cinematic realm, then hey, I think we go to an hour. I'm hoping we do. I think that there's way too much to tell. And if there's only 9 episodes, so you have 3 more, I don't know if they can tell their whole story in 3 episodes on just 30 minutes. I really don't. Plus, it's going to get so action-packed. Keep in mind, there hasn't been a lot of action at all. So it's going to get so action-packed. 30 minutes is going to go by so fast. So I hope to God that they don't do that. Plus, I got to tell you, I'm getting really excited. Not really for Winter Soldier. Like, that'll be cool. I don't know what it has to do with Wanda. I don't know if that combines with it or whatnot. Maybe you guys know. But I was watching trailer breakdowns of Loki, and that could be the most underrated TV series of the entire year, because that is about Loki taking the Tesseract, during Endgame when they go back in time. And it's Loki going through basically these time police. I forget their name, but it's crazy how all of this kind of coming together to form a giant multiverse that, of course, the MCU loves to point fun at themselves. They literally had Mysterio in Far From Home talk about the multiverse, tease it, and then it ended up being a fake. So now it's real. And it's crazy, man. I'm super excited, but yeah, the 30-minute thing absolutely kills the vibe. They need to make that an hour.
Andy, what's your rating and the best part of this episode, and what do you think they could do better with?
I gotta give this episode just a 9 out of 10. I think every single week we're getting more and more while still being kind of completely lost at the same time. And we're gonna get like you said, 30 minutes is not going to be enough. I agree with that. I think, like you said, they're kind of doing that based on the timepieces every week. And, we're getting closer to present day. So I think they're going to shift it maybe an hour now, or for at least 45 minutes. At least they need more for that. But I just, like I said, I love this episode a lot. I like how really there's 3 main plot plot stories, the ABC plot. You have Jimmy Woo and the gang. You have the Vision trying to find out what the heck's going on, and then you also have Wanda and Pietro storyline, right? And I love having the three not kind of like one be more than the other, and they all matter. They're all going to tie in together. Um, the visuals in this is so great. We've talked about the Vision breaking apart scene. It's just awesome to watch. And I think, they were trying to, I think this is out of all of the, I guess, timepieces, this is the worst of the bunch because they don't really focus on it that much. It's just kind of like, this is the 90s, but let's not actually dive into that. It's just, we're doing storylines in the 90s, but you really don't see how it's the 90s really as much as the other, like the 50s, 60s. But I still think it's very good. I mean, this show's amazing. It's Marvel's really good at just creating amazing stuff, and this is hitting the nail on the head right here. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen. What as Wanda's losing control and doesn't really know how to fix it. How's the story going to end? How's it going to wrap up with the future of the MCU? Because Phase 4, if this is the starting point, it's going to be a wild ride, and I'm excited for it.
I will definitely agree with you guys. I got to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. I think the show is starting to hit its stride. I agree with you, Jake. Longer episodes would definitely benefit the show because it's so compact and tight. And maybe it's by purpose, at least these first 6 episodes. I wouldn't mind that cameo to be Beast. I think that would be an option.
Oh, okay.
Beast would be a good one. And then at the end, that big cameo be Professor X. And you get Professor X on a news channel announcing how the mutants exist and they're here to protect people, not hurt them. And he's someone who could get through that bubble with with how Scarlet Witch, and she's clearly having a mental meltdown. And I just love how this entire TV show is just setting up question after question, and it's giving you answers, but piece by piece and in different episodes. And I guarantee you, I still think about how in the first episode, Vision was putting together some algorithm. If you didn't pay attention to it, he was doing work. He's like, oh no, I have to finish up these calculations. I think he was doing those for a reason. Calculations to build up to something else. I don't know why. And it's like, I feel like the show is going to be one of those very Easter egg filled ones. You guys already picked up on a few that are just more face level value, kind of like the uniforms of the comic characters, but I feel like they have deeper story elements within this TV show. I'm really impressed. I didn't expect this TV show to be as good as it is, as cinematic. It's just top tier quality content. So guys, I hope you guys like this review. Please comment down your theories, what you guys think is going on in Westview, and any thoughts and stuff like that on the video. Go follow Jake on his Twitter, as you guys can see down here. Jake, thank you for coming on. Andy, thank you for coming on. You don't get much of a choice. And I hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I think the last thing I'll say, as far as like a prediction, I think it's either gonna be Magneto or Wolverine. That is the the big reveal. So I'll say that.